Welcome back, everybody. So for this video, I just want to quickly discuss your final exam study guide and how to use Proctorio properly. I know that many of you have final exams going on. You've got your own life. You probably have your own work schedule. And I want to make sure that you understand all of the expectations before you ever open your final exam. So we are using Proctorio to assist with our final exam to ensure that students aren't cheating, and it's a way that keeps you, in your own environment to complete your final exam without having to go to a study center. Now, if you prefer, there are study centers available near you, and I will add a link to that in the instructions that I send you. But for the most part, you can install Proctorio and work on your own schedule before the deadline. It's really great. So the first thing I want you to do for this is go to your home screen in Canvas and go down here where it says Secure Exam Proctor. And this is essential for taking your exam. You need to install an extension using Google Chrome. It's the only way to complete your assignment. So unfortunately, there's no way around this. So you have to do this prior to opening your exam. You actually won't be able to do any work on it if you don't. So go ahead and get that done well before the final exam starts, and that's going to save you a huge headache. After that, I want you to go to Modules, and I'm going to show you a little bit more Proctorio information just to ensure that you have everything you need for your exam. Now, things do happen during finals. Sometimes you might not have a good connection. Sometimes you are working on a schedule that is just not allowing you to work at your best time. So you are going to need to study ahead and prepare yourself the best that you can with your schedule. So in this, we have our Proctorio exam information and a student guide here. And again, since this is proctored, you won't have an open book. You're going to have to use your memory to complete this assignment. So the thing with Proctorio, if it assumes that you are cheating, it's going to kick you out of the exam. So the best thing you can do is follow the rules exactly, make sure that it has a good view of your room, of the table you're using, and that will prevent you from being kicked out too early and possibly failing the assignment. So those things you can view on your own. After that, we can go down here to the final exam study guide. This is already predetermined by the art department, so I have not selected these, but I will give you some good examples to help you understand the expectations. So with this, it's just a quick guide, and you have some art vocabulary terms to know. You're going to have roughly 5 of these that you need to understand in a short answer. So for example, with symbolism, you're going to type out something along the lines of symbolism means using symbols and visual language to create meaning in art. Something along those lines that we can understand that you know what that word is. Some of these other ones may not be as easy to clarify, so just keep it clear and simple. For example, color, you can break that down into just a few simple words to define it. That way you're not getting overwhelmed by details, because there's another component to this exam. So again, you're going to have 5 of these words picked out of this list here. And if you have questions about that, if you feel like you're not on the right path, just reach out to me. I can help you go over some of the details, ensure that you're not overloading your brain before your exam. Now, when you hit next, this is the second half of your exam beyond the definitions. And you're going to pick one image out of this group of images right here. And you're going to write 3 paragraphs that discuss the history, the symbolism, things like the principles of design in it, anything to define what you're looking at. So things like color, composition, how shapes are used, how shapes create meaning. All of that is stuff that you have plenty of practice within this course. You've done this on many of your projects, and I'm confident that you'll be able to write about it. But you will need to memorize the information about one of these images. And so when you click one of the other ones, it's going to give you the title of it and also where you can find it in the book. So you can open your book, write out some of the details on just like a scrap piece of paper or on your computer. For me personally, I will practice writing out my essay a few times just to have it fresh in my brain, especially before I'm getting ready to open my exam. So that's personally what I do. Sometimes students will use keywords and other things to help them remember components of the art. So some of these are much easier to describe than others. However, I feel like in this case, what you need to do is just write about something that you're really drawn to. What draws you to it? For example, how do color and shape work in these Japanese maples? What do you think the meaning behind this is? And what is the history surrounding it? So as an example, just to get you more acquainted with what I'm looking for me personally, I'm drawn to Aaron Douglas's work. I love it personally. I think it's great. I think it's visually beautiful, the way that he utilizes silhouettes and shapes. You see these um, cylindrical shapes here that help to define both light and color, and also to emphasize what's happening in the painting. So for this artist, he was prominent during the Harlem Renaissance, and this is also relating to the Great Migration in the United States when many families migrated from the South, where they were being attacked violently, they were subjected to Jim Crow laws, and many of them found a new home in places like Chicago and Harlem and New York. So for this example here, you have the artist. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit better. Here we go. I'll do my own analysis of this just to give you an understanding of what I'm looking for. You can see how the shapes create these different figures, and this is all representations of progress in the African-American experience. So you see how families were taken from their homeland, used as slaves, and eventually they found their own freedom. They are having shackles taken from them, so they are now free to a certain extent. And then you also have the man in the middle who is standing on a box pointing towards our government buildings to encourage people to vote since they finally have this right. Now, other things that you'll see in here are representations over here of like the Ku Klux Klan. And they're included in this just to reference the history of this similar experience that many families have in the United States. And it's important to remember that these are communities that have very different regional understanding. They have their own culture, and so they assimilate to create this bigger experience, often referred to as like the Black experience. So even though the KKK is part of this painting, it's been pushed in the background. You know, you can't deny that its history is there, that they're responsible to some extent of pushing out communities into other regions. But they're also not the main focus of it. A lot of this is about celebration and progress. So the more you look at it, the more you can see all of these beautiful defined geometric shapes that Douglas is known for. You can see the layering of colors, the use of complementary colors of yellow and violets, and you can break this down easily into about 3 paragraphs. So personally, this is one that I would talk about just because I have a lot of knowledge on it. But again, pick one that you like. You have Artemisia Gentileschi, who has Judith decapitating Holofernes, which is also an incredible work of art that you can easily talk about the symbolism, the meaning behind it, the storytelling, and how this is even a representation of things like feminism. So again, talk about what you feel comfortable with. You make that decision on how you want your essay to be. Now, if you have any other questions, please reach out to me. I am happy to help you, to give you a little bit of encouragement. If you have questions about those definitions, please reach out before the exam starts. And again, just to reference, this exam is 2 hours. So unless you have an accommodation that gives you an extension, you will have a time on this. So you want to be well prepared for it. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing what you write for your final exam.